We're live. I'm so excited.
Hey.
This is my so excited face. I hope that people are watching it and know that my so excited face is beyond the excitedness that people would now normally associate it with me. This is pandemic so excited face.
I love it.
Thank you for loving it. I appreciate it.
No, I really do.
Thank you. So what I'm also doing is pulling it up on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I can also start moderating the conversation. Great. Okay. Awesome sauce. Welcome to the full set with DiDi Delgado. I have my very special guest here today. You look amazing, first of all.
Thank you, boo.
I feel like that's how I had to start out your bio. Like, you look amazing, boo. I am here with none other than Lutze Segu. And you are amazing because, well, one, you're my Facebook friend, and not a lot of people are, like in real life. And you are a queer Black feminist who is a citizen of Miami, and we'll get to that in a second, which is the home of the Seminole.
Miccosukee.
Come on now. Miccosukee, or I'm trying. And the Tequesta First Nations. She is a social justice doula, a content creator, an anti-racist educator, social worker, and your favorite Black feminist thinker. Bitch, I think not. Lutze is currently a doctoral student at the University of British Columbia studying race, gender, sexuality, and social justice. Also, don't play games with my emotions. Some Cashapp and PayPal links are right there, and you can find out more by visiting Lutze's website, which is also in the description. So welcome, Lou. How you doing?
I am really good. I'm doing much better now that I'm talking with you, now that I'm getting to connect with you.
Y'all niggas is so romantic. I've never met the most romantic people. Like, we talk in the inbox sometimes, but like, this is romance. Come on, friendship romance. Thank you.
I mean, I'm here for it. No, I'm like vibrating right now.
Oh my God. Because when I first called you and we did the check-in, you know, as we go along with these episodes, people will get the gist, hopefully, of what the show is about. Otherwise, I have to explain it, and I don't want to do that. So like, when I first talked to you, I was like, "Hey, girl, how you doing?" And you was like,
"Yeah." Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Did you need a stage of intervention? Like, so what was going on?
Low key.
You were feeling yucky?
Yeah, I was feeling yucky. But this is a true testament that, you know, Black people need each other, Black women need each other, Black femmes need each other. And there is no better medicine to another Black femme than another Black femme. So like, you know, I live in a very supremely white city. I don't really get to, you know, really connect with my people. And, you know, now we're in this global pandemic. So literally just having that conversation and that check-in and you just being your like for real self. Like
my for real self?
Yeah, the self that I imagine you were based on the interwebs. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is like no buyer's remorse. Like, yes.
Wow. Y'all really know how to talk me out of my pants. No buyer's remorse. Oh my God. I wish my mother felt that way. Wow. That's so amazing.
You know, well, you know, parents gonna parent.
Parents are gonna parent. So you know what is interesting? I think about that term when you say, you know, when you were saying to me, like, I just feel like you are what I thought you was gonna be. And I worry about, you know, you and I were talking about imposter syndrome, and it's like, I worry about that all the time. I think to myself, what does it look like if I am in a disagreement? I don't want to use the word conflict because I think people get really excited when you use the word conflict. They're like, "Oh, she in conflict?" Like, you know, so what does it look like to me if I'm in a disagreement with someone and I feel like, oh, everyone must know that this is the nature of the disagreement. This person must have chosen a side, especially because it's the internet and niggas is fickle. Like, you know, niggas is very fickle. And so when you tell me, oh no, what, like, you're what you are, you know what I'm saying? I actually feel grateful to hear that because I do show up as myself and people either like it or they don't, you know? So this was, I think, a good thing for me too. Like, I was like that.
Good.
So you were having a really shitty day, and I had asked you, was it because of COVID and chill?
Yeah, definitely because of COVID and chill. I just today was just one of those days where it's just like, yo, the conversation I was having with a friend, and she's white, is just like, white people don't love other white people. And because white people don't love other white people, they don't see themselves as kin. Now the rest of us gotta suffer because of this. I say this because we're I was there's a video of the people, the white folks in Michigan, who are protesting that
Okay, I didn't hear about this, so please do tell, because I seen a whole bunch of white people gathering, and I was like, gotta go.
Right. And so these folks are protesting that's their governor to open up Michigan because they need to go back to work. They need to do this. They need to do that. And immediately what I was thinking was like, well, damn, if you are a settler who came from Europe, you came to Turtle Island, you came to North America, and you stole land from the indigenous folks, you enacted genocide, and then you went all the way to the continent of Africa to traffic Black folks to bring them over here to create racial capitalism. I guess in a way, your whole entire life and identity is rooted in capitalism. So you need capitalism to work. You came
out with the shots fired.
So you need capitalism to work, even if it will kill you, because you have no plan B. Like literally, that's it. And so that made me really mad. that made me really mad. Really.
So you were talking to your white friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you was like, white people don't love each other.
No.
And the rest of us gotta suffer for it. That's a word today.
Because right. And so essentially that's how I felt, because I was just like, now you have people who can't even believe in a global pandemic, even when they can see it in front of themselves, because these folks have been allowed to, these folks watch Fox News for the past 20 years. And my thing was like, how come the people who were in charge for the past 20 years didn't intervene and do something around Fox News? And so now we have because again, I don't think we all need to be liberal, we all need to be Democrat, or we all whatever, but we do need to be able to agree on what the facts are. And the facts are, this is a contagious virus. And
bitch, I knew you was coming to tell me the facts. Go ahead.
This is a contagious virus, and we need to do what we need to do. However, because this virus hinges on us being compassionate to one another, how can you do that if when the majority of these folks don't love themselves, don't love each other, but yet they're supposed to stay home and keep me Black queer woman safe and everyone else safe? That's just not happening. And so to me, it's just, I felt today like I was being held hostage by people's limiting beliefs and foolishness. And I was just sad.
And this was about some white people in Michigan.
That's it. It just spiraled, because this is what happens to live in this brain and this body. Because you just see, it's just like, come on, like to the fact that you are only as healthy as your neighbor, and your neighbor is on some other shit. That's a scary proposition. That's scary. That's scary. And so today I was sad for a little bit.
I'm so glad that when I called you, I asked about it, because I feel like this could have went somewhere different. You would have been like, who's the dude, Ben Stein? You would have been like, I'm here to talk to you about social justice dueling. I don't know, nigga. What did you come here to talk about? Like,
no dry eyes, none of that.
No, you're so beautiful. I don't even think that you could be capable of that. So thank you so much for gracing us with this melanin. Oh my God.
DiDi, please. I mean,
too much. I really can't. Like, I'm like, look up, came through dripping. Like, you understand what I'm saying to you?
I mean, yeah, no, for you, I got all cute. I have not been doing anything, but I just was like,
I put on perfume. That's what I did.
Thank you. No, you ain't gotta do nothing, boo. You ain't gotta do much.
Thank you. So I wanted to talk to you about your name. I feel like Warsan Shire has this quote about saying people's names, right? And like making sure that the heaviness is like on your tongue and that you can feel it, and giving your children those names. Now, you're the daughter of immigrants. Do you mind sharing with us a little about where your parents are from? And what your place is?
I'm first generation Haitian American. My parents are from Haiti. Yes. It's not boule. Oh my God.
I'm such a bird.
After my own heart. After my own heart. So yeah, my people are from IET, and they were the original boat people, refugees, and
Right.
so that is so that's my lineage. And of course, I'm first generation, born and raised in Miami, so I'm very much was raised by Black American culture, very much so. And yeah, and so Lutze Segu is just a very blackety black, very Haitian, very whatever. People don't usually know like what race I will be when I show up in this space, but it was just like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. I've been friends with you since 2017.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, I think she's Ugandan.
Right. No.
But you might be. You know, I just did my DNA through Ancestry, and it was telling me like I'm from Cameroon, Nigerian. Hey, I was trying to get a husband, and now I know why, right? I've watched enough Nollywood movies to tell you every time. Don't play with me.
I definitely think Segu is definitely coming from somewhere in Nigeria. Just give me some time so I could do that research. But I definitely, yeah, and I really believe Haitian people, period, are Nigerians. We come from Nigerians, because this is like, when I look at the mannerisms, when I look at how we get as it's just like, this don't make no sense. This is beyond just cousins. Like y'all
beyond cousins.
Beyond cousins.
A show that you do, right? While you're doing your journey of finding out your genealogy, you need to be like beyond cousins.
Yes, beyond cousins. Yeah. So that's me. So that is me. I'm first generation. Yeah, I come to Blackness from that space, and I'm very keenly aware of that.
Okay. I wanted to ask you a follow-up question that just popped up into my heart. Now, I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, Roxbury, born and raised, but also I grew up in the South Shore of Massachusetts, which is, trying to think of the name of the city. Should I say it? So I grew up for a time. I went to high school in Randolph, Massachusetts. And I recall that my high school, that most of the Black folks at my school were Haitian American.
Mm-hmm.
Like you, they were first generation. Many of the people I have dated have been Haitian. And so I know how to make the riz-jean-jean.
Okay.
I'll make some pick-me's in a minute, because I was such a pick-me. I mean, but now I just like to eat my food. So now it's fine. The whole thing is fine. I wanted to talk to you about something that comes up for me, or at least it came up for me a lot while I was in school. A lot of Haitian Americans, I think it, for me, if I had to put an analysis on it, but that's not my job here, is to analyze anything. But if I would have to put an analysis on it, I felt like a lot of Haitian Americans felt like they differed from Blacks because of the Haitian Revolution, and also that Haiti is an independent country, right? Much respect to that. And I wonder, like, what do you think is the separatism that Haitian Black folk, American Black folk, and African Black folk deal with?
Well, essentially, it's white supremacy working really well. Ooh. And so what happens is we enact white supremacy, we embody it, and it just shows up in our relationship.
Because Can I just tell you real quick before you go on?
Yes.
One of my favorite Haitian people just joined the conversation. Nadej, beautiful, welcome. Okay.
Okay. Because what happens is, so when my family migrated to the United States, they migrated during a time when the AIDS epidemic was happening.
Okay.
And during that time, the US government had said essentially that Haitians were the cause of HIV/AIDS. And till this day, they've never apologized.
Okay.
And so here you have these super Black people coming from a very Black country who are not experiencing race in that kind of a way. They migrate to a country where everyone is being xenophobic and anti-Black against them.
Right.
And of course, they're trying to retain their ethnicity because yes, they are Black, like the Black Americans who are in the United States, but obviously they speak another language.
Right.
They eat different kinds of foods. And so there's a difference in that. And so what happens is, it's like you have the anti-Blackness, the racism from white folks, then you have the anti-Blackness from Black Americans. And I think what happens is, it's like people are like, well, to survive, they had to come up with these coping mechanisms.
Right.
And some of these coping mechanisms were rooted in anti-Blackness and were rooted in anti-Blackness. So growing up, it was very common for us to hear from our people that, like, you're Black, but you're not like those Blacks, right?
Right. Right.
However, when I would go to school, you would have the African Americans who would be like, yeah, you Black, but you're not Black like us. And
right.
so,
and the differences were hurtful, right? Like I recall, like
very
in my school, maybe even myself, said something like, oh, you know, she got like 20 different color barrettes in her hair, you know, she Haitian. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Y'all
You know,
like
thank you for being honest.
Though. I gotta give you that. You bitch, you came through with the head wrap today, okay? Like, I'm just saying. Don't come over here because I got on one color, okay?
I'm done and done. Yes. And so what happens is like folks from the continent, for folks from the Caribbean,
right.
We unfortunately, a lot of our people bought into white supremacy, and
both ways.
Yeah, both ways. And what's the thing with white supremacy in United States of America? You have to have a hostile posture towards African Americans. And so everybody has a hostile posture towards African Americans. And all Black people are trying to do this thing like, I'm better than African Americans, this, that, and the third. It took me a very long time to realize, like, actually, this is foolishness. This is in service to white supremacy. And that if I'm serious about liberation, I have to undo and divest and dismantle that anti-Blackness. And part of that is I have to understand that African Americans are not my enemy, and that it serves white supremacy when I act like I'm better, and it serves white supremacy when African Americans want to tell me like I'm not a part of. But now with all of this knowledge, I just know that we were all fed some BS, and we were looking at each other in these antagonistic ways. However, especially during the advent of Black Lives Matter, a lot of our folks,
I like how you called it an advent. Go ahead.
A lot of our folks, especially my parents, were like, oh, actually, they'll kill, they don't care. Like, you know, white supremacy is not asking you for your papers and say, what kind of Black are you? Where are you from? Right? And so that was like a shift for a lot of our consciousness. But I have to admit, that's work. I'm constantly trying to have that conversation with my people in regards to like, it doesn't matter what people think about Haitians, because I will say, as a Haitian person, sometimes it feels like everyone is allowed to shit on us and talk about us in very specific ways, other Black people. But even with all of that, I'm not going to take on the hostile posture that's like, oh, I'm better and I'm a different kind of Black. I'm not about that. I think
I get what you mean by the white supremacy, in the fact that you have to separate yourself, like, right, to be like just the way that Latino and Hispanic people, however they're identifying today, and I say they, meaning me also, but like they separate themselves and be like, oh yeah, I'm Black, so I could say nigga, but I'm not that Black, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's that same kind of anti-Blackness that is like, hold up, I'm a person of color, but I will never be that. And I'm like, who told you what that was? I get what you're saying. Like, you got to unpack that shit every day.
Got to.
It's something that's taught to us. And also, when we go out into the world, we are aware. Tamala and I talk about this all the time. I'm aware of my code switching when it happens, because I know I have to separate myself from what these white people think that I am. It's
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate for
Mm-hmm.
survival, and I wish that we didn't do it amongst ourselves, you know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I like anti-racism is for Black people too, because that's the only way we're going to undo and unlearn anti-Blackness, right? And so I have to understand, like, all Black people across the diaspora, when we get here in North America, we get here in the United States, folks are being treated in a very specific kind of way. If I want white people to divest from anti-Blackness, I also have to interrogate and divest from anti-Blackness as well. And number one, that means confronting very honestly what are my opinions, thoughts, and concerns around African Americans.
I literally just quoted you. I said, anti-racism is for Black people too. Bloop. When I first came into, you know, I asked you, I was like, I always ask people this. How do we meet?
Oh my God, how did we meet? Oh, like, okay, so I read the Surge article that you wrote that went viral. And I want to say I just went looking for you on IG, and I just started following you like all willy-nilly.
So
And
amazing.
then
I had 500 followers when I first started out.
And then one day you reposted something, I think from Guerrilla Feminism, around white women's tears. I did a thread on white women's tears.
Okay.
And you posted it on your page, and you was like, find this person. I was like, I'm right here, boo.
Now I remember the conversation.
Yeah. I was like, I'm already following you. I was like, I'm already following you.
Let me tell you something about that thread. I took the time to screenshot, because it was from Twitter. I took the time to screenshot it and make it 10 separate pages. So that way people can really get it. Because I was like, if I share it to my Insta and then do it to the Facebook, we're going to get whatever this Black woman just said, we're going to get it out there. And, I mean,
yeah, I'm like, I'm already following you. What are you talking about? Like, I'm already here.
I was shell-shocked. You understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
Shell-shocked. 2017 was a wild year for me. I want to tell you why I wrote that article in the first place.
Please.
Nobody wanted me to write that article. I begged editors. I begged everybody and their mama. I was like, I have this idea. And I find a lot of times the best ideas, like my friend Monica, right? She had came to me one time and said, I have an idea. We got to fight white supremacists. And I was like, I'm not doing that shit. Fighting them on purpose. I'm not doing that shit. I'm not doing another parade. I'm not doing another protest. I'm not doing, and I did it. And it's because sometimes people have a vision outside of you. And I recall that when I wanted to write this article, I was heavily involved in BLM at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot of white allies around me. And when I say around me, I mean like Cambridge, Mass.
Right.
A lot of these white people I consider my friend.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't have an analysis as to, I didn't have an anti-racism analysis. It's so wild. I actually learned about anti-racism from white people who sold the analysis from Black people. And they were teaching classes and getting paid for it. And were like, I need you to be my sprinkle of pepper in the sea of salt. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't know what that meant at the time. And so every single time, categorically, I would run into an issue with a white person. The white person's narrative usually was, DiDi's difficult to work with. And then I was like, it's not just me, because remember, like, not a lot of people know this. When I was in BLM, nobody in BLM, I'm just gonna say it, nobody in BLM really liked my ass. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm ratchet, I'm not the respectable, I don't belong on panels with the higher ups in BLM. You know, it is what it is. Like, you know, niggas come to me and be like George Soros, and I'm like, I didn't get the money. So what are you talking to me about? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so nobody like
DiDi, I love you.
Get the money, like let me know about it, you know? And I remember like always feeling like I just gotta say my shit, because regardless, the people like it or they don't like it. And I remember reaching out to Black Lives Matter media and saying, I want to post this article about our white allies. And they were like, no, we can't do that. Can't shit on the white people. They're helping us too much. Surge is helping us too much. I was like, in Boston, I can't speak for nobody else. But when I say I was on the strategy table, I mean, like, I took it upon myself to, I don't want to call myself a leader in BLM, but I took it upon myself that when people were having issues, I would reach out to them and be like, I can help you with your white person problem. You know what I'm saying? And I would hold these white people accountable over and over again. I was like, it's a pattern. And I was like, if I could just identify what the pattern is. So I wrote an email to all of them. I went on Serge's website. Look at your face. I went on Serge's website.
Yeah.
I copied and pasted, but Google back then, I don't know if Google has changed now because I don't really spam people no more, but Google used to have this thing that you couldn't send more than, I think it was like 20 emails at a time. So you should see me. My inbox still has it where it says Surges A through F. And then it's like Surge Atlanta. It's like, you know, Surge Fargo, whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, then the next alphabet. And I sent them a survey. I was like, on Beyonce's internet. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it was meant to disarm them in a way to answer questions. And a lot of search people was like, oh, this is not really a space for Black folks. But I was like, how the fuck do you have accountability then if it's not a space for Black folks? How is it then that if I tell you to do something and you disagree with me, you just go to the next Black person? And then I see what it is, because I see people do this all the time, right? That if I have a conflict with you, the white people, as if they have nothing to do amongst themselves, will make it their business then to be like, oh, I want to go with Lulu more than I want to go with DiDi, or I want to go with DiDi more than I want to go to Lulu. And it became like this big mess. And so I was like, y'all, I'm about to blow this whole shit up. And the last thing I'll say about it is I lost a very good friend behind that article. And this is what I mean, what's wrong with white people. This person during my entire pregnancy helped me financially. I remember one time I think I was short on my car payment or something like that. You know, I was pregnant and my feet was swollen all the time. I have a heart problem. And he was helping me. And so, you know, he gave me $400. I was like, thank you. And I'm, you know, at this point, I'm traveling around the country. I'm doing work with Baton Rouge. I'm doing the most, right? At 7 months pregnant, driving 26-foot U-Haul trucks, right? And I remember he said to me, I don't like this. I don't like that you're overexerting yourself. You're going to burn out. I've been through burnout before. And so we had this really deep conversation. And maybe I was fucked up for this. I took a part of what he said, and I think I quoted in the article. Well, actually, no. I took a part of what he said was, he was like, if you write this, white people are going to stop organizing. And I went like, I couldn't help it. So I included it in the article. I was like, I was even told by a friend of mine. And then he was like, once it got published, I think he was happy. He even shared it. He was like, I have some feelings about this. But when it went viral, yeah, that nigga was like, you have taken a shit on my life's work. And I can't be friends with you, because how do I know that anything I say to you going forward won't be taken as fodder for your social media platform? White man. And I was like, nigga, you have been supporting me my entire, like, since I've known you, since 2014, 2015. What is it about now? So what I used to quote, your name isn't attached to it. He was like, yeah, but people know that I'm here locally. People know that I'm the friend. And so it didn't matter. It didn't matter who I organized with afterwards. These white people who said that they was here for Black liberation was like, but we make a choice today. Our Black liberation will not be tied to DiDi Delgado. Like, you know, I still can't get Serge to do shit in Boston. You know, so thank you for like bringing that up, because I never really explored it publicly. Why I'm so angry with them. It's because they literally did not live the praxis that they said that they was gonna do, you know?
Ooh, you see,
Tell me about it, boo.
That's unfortunate. That makes me sad. However, I have like quite a few of those examples. What happens is, what I find is that white liberals so racism dehumanizes us. So we got the alt-right, we got those neo-Nazis who are like, Black people are not people.
Right.
And then you have white liberals who are like, yeah, Black people are people, but what I see they struggle with is like, they don't see us as people like them. They're still, they don't see us on the same equal playing field. And so there's a way in which they don't think we have interior lives, and we don't have deep, nuanced conversations and understanding about things. And so for me, it's just like, if you are really about Black, if you truly believe that Black lives matter, how can a critique from a Black person also not matter, also not be taken very seriously? So how does your life get separated from the critique that you have that is completely rooted in your Blackness? That don't make no sense.
Right.
But I can't be your friend anymore. And so to me, it's just like, I agree with you. And actually, since that article, it's shifted how I talk to white folks and do some kind of things. And it's just like, yeah, if a body of white people, I do believe there should be affinity spaces. White people should have their spaces where they talk about whatever they need to talk about without Black people having to process it to hear it. However, who are you accountable to?
Right. That's the question I had.
Which Black people, which Indigenous people, who are you accountable to? Who, if you do something shady, who are your people that I can call on and be like, I need you to check so and so?
Let me share something else with you. When I wrote the article, now mind you, at this point, I was a white person whisperer because I knew so many of them, right? Now, nobody white likes me. I mean, I dare like 4 white people to comment and say, I love you, DiDi. That would be nice, but it's not going to happen, right? They're so afraid. Some of them are so afraid to even watch the show because they're like, is it for me?
Wow.
Bitch, I need you to pay some points. So it's so wild. When all that happened, I think it was Surge, DC, decided that they were going to write in support of me, and a couple of Surge chapters.
Yeah, I did see that.
But they got in trouble with the Black Lives Matter DC chapter because were like, you didn't check in with us. Like, this is what we taught. Like, that is exactly what DiDi's point was. Like, you're not being accountable to us, because then you're like, it's the other Surge chapters. We pride ourselves on and then them niggas from Black Lives Matter DC was like,
yeah. I mean, white people who avail themselves to anti-racism have to ask themselves a real question. What does it mean to train other white people around something you will never experience? You will never experience anti-Blackness. You will never experience those kind of things. And so what does it mean to take up so much real estate within anti-racism and to write books and have these full-fledged careers when other people, this is their daily life. They have to eat anti-Blackness like bread every day and metabolize it and make it. So it's just like, I don't know. We have to ask that ugly question. Like the same, I always say, like, no, a cis person can't not run a trans organization. Like that makes sense. If I'm not Jewish, I can't be the head of a Jewish organization. So if you white, can you really be the lead on anti-racism? Yes, you can support. Yes, you can play varying roles, but the lead be the person and dictate the terms and conditions of anti-racism? I don't think so.
Let me ask you a question. How do we hold that truth to be self-evident, that all white people are created equally amongst themselves, right? And also make sure that their accountability to, at least while they're still being racist and not collecting their cousins and their co-workers and their aunts and their uncles and all the in-betweens, right? How do we make sure that those folks, because, people will tell me all the time, oh, you lend your platform to white people. Do I? Do I support, in my mind, and, I think that there's always going to be people that disagree with me. Do I utilize the resources that they have to support the most marginalized? Absolutely. Am I going to do that by any means necessary? Absolutely. Am I actually in deep relationship with less than 5 of them? Absolutely. But do I care about the rest? No, because they're so fickle. So my question to you, if I had a question, is how do you reconcile the fact that so many white people want to be in this position of where they're known as, like the Black person whisperer, and that they're cool with the Blacks. And, I'm friends with Lutze and I'm friends with DiDi and da-da-da. But then it's like the fickleness becomes them and they turn into themselves again. It's like the pumpkin in Cinderella. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, how am I supposed to reconcile that? I need what, I want to say this correctly. I need you to do what I ask you to do, knowing that you're going to fail at it every single time. How do I reconcile that? Because I need my money. I think about my friends who are writers. They need their money. They need books sent to people. You need to get your speaking fees paid. And it's not going to be us that we're talking at. Like, you know what I'm saying? Me and you are having a conversation, but it's not going to be us we talking at. It's like, I don't even know sometimes if it's worth it, Lulu. I really don't.
Yeah. And so to me, I like to say social justice, anti-racism, it's a faith walk, right? Because I don't always see the evidence of the change within white folks. I don't. It is heartbreaking. So this kind of work, this really reimagining that a life where Black Lives Matter, a life where transgender non-conforming people can grow, could be allowed to grow up and become elders. A world where we don't push binaries is going to, we're going to have to get comfortable with conflict. We're going to have to get comfortable with having our hearts broken over and over again. And we're going to have to get comfortable with having real hard, messy conversations. So to that I say is that it's just like we literally have to kind of take white people out on a case-by-case basis, because most Black people I know have less than...
There's no case law about it. We got to take them on a case-by-case basis.
You have to, because you just said you have less than 5 that you're still cool with. I have maybe 2. Right. 2 I can say like whatever, because the fact of the matter is the level of work that white people need to do to undo and divest from white supremacy is a lot. It's a lot. So what does it, because they would have to risk not really, for a lot of them, they would have to risk not talking to their people.
You know what this nigga's name was? Risk something. That's what his name is on Twitter. I fucking hate you.
So how do you ask a group of people who've never had to risk anything to risk everything to save themselves? Because they are not even acutely aware of how white supremacy is going to destroy them too, is going to eat them too. So yes, white supremacy is going to destroy Black people, Indigenous people, and people of color first. However, just like as we see as any virus does, eventually, what does the virus do? It can't reproduce no more. Okay, so it's going to turn on itself. And so how do you explain that to people when they're holding so much power in real time? How do you explain to them that you actually probably don't even know yourself as best as you know you could know yourself, because all of that is being mitigated by white supremacy? You probably, you don't even know love. You don't even know connection, because all of that is being mitigated by white supremacy. And that the more you let go of that, the more you ask yourself, who am I? What is whiteness without dehumanization, without it stepping on the neck of Black people? Who are you? These are, all of them would have to take a sabbatical and go do a Eat, Pray, Love, right?
Right.
Because that's
Elizabeth Gilbert.
Right. Right. And so to me,
Simone told me yesterday she loves Black people. I'm about to write her an email.
Yeah. No, I actually, she's grown on me over the years, and it looked like her analysis is getting there. So I say all this to say we actually have to take white people on a case-by-case basis. And I think we have to ask ourselves too, we as Black people have to get serious and act like, well, what are the terms and conditions of me calling a white person an ally and my comrade? Because just because they say they believe that Black Lives Matter, or they see my humanity,
or they got the bracelet and the t-shirt.
Right, but there's levels to seeing my humanity. If you can't take my critique, you can't take my feedback. If it always comes back to you, if it always comes back to your hurt feelings, then yeah. And so to me, because I don't see no other way that we're going to save our planet and ourselves if we don't adopt an anti-racism lens, even when, as my heart continues to be broken by white people, I'm not going to be like them and be like, well, F them, I'm not working with them on it. I'm not going to let white supremacy dictate how I move. I'm not doing that, because my liberation is deep and near to me. However, what I do is it's like, okay, another one bites the dust, and we move on and we soldier on. Because I got to get to freedom. We got to get to freedom. And
Right.
I don't have time to help them carry that cross. If the white people who about it, let's move. But the fact of the matter is, until white people get serious about, are you going to give your life? Because Black people have martyred themselves enough to push this
Right.
country forward. And I don't want more Black people to die just so that so people can realize, oh, I didn't know. Like, nah.
Right.
So,
I wonder what would the resurgence look like, like, I hate to say it, but it's like, what is it going to take? I said this in a poem one time. What is it going to take till the bullet hits your doorstep? Like, I wanted to ask you, since we're on the topic of what white supremacy does to white people, you had mentioned that it's always going to attack Black people first.
mm-hmm.
And you and I had touched briefly about Black women and like this current election cycle, but I want to go to something that you said. And I told you I was going to bring this up. You said, quote, I'm not team running behind every Black woman no more. And that stuck with me because I struggle with this dearly. And I'm telling you when I say dearly, because there are many times when I see light-skinned white women, Black women, they all the same to me, myself included. Like, no, seriously, myself included. Like, I know that when I'm called out, I'm like, damn. Someone just inboxed me. Someone just inboxed me and I'm struggling with responding back to them. I can't believe we're about to have this conversation, but I'm struggling with like writing back to them. You know how you see the preview of the shit and then you're like, so I was called out, it's a bias I yesterday. You always snitch on yourself. And I was like, because if I didn't tell you, then someone else is going to tell you. It's going to be a weird story because you're going to be like, DiDi's not. No, DiDi has told you everything, right? Like, So in 2017, myself, Leslie Mack, Ijeoma Oluo, and Jasmine Banks, if I'm not mistaken, called out by a local Black Lives Matter DC organizer, right? And she said, she made a Facebook post and she was like, I don't really appreciate how y'all don't talk about colorism enough, this, that, and the third. And I was like, bitch, I just made a post 3 days ago about colorism. I didn't know I was supposed to be on a schedule. I didn't know, what I'm saying? But the person inside of me who's 27% Nigerian was like, you got to hold space for this conversation. I guess my issue was at the time is that this woman was someone I considered a friend, and she was just in my house that same week. And I had literally had a face-to-face conversation with her. And I was like, how am I doing? Like, according to you, I have these conversations with people all the time. What do you see when you see me? I talked to Tamla about this. I asked you, I was like, you see me this way? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, like, and I try not to push back on it. And when she was at my house, had my baby on her lap, there's a Facebook photo of that moment and everything. She was like, no, DiDi, I think you out here doing the work. So to me, it was just a surprise. That's all. To see a call out 3 days later on Facebook after you had left, like you flew home. And then she did write to me. It's been 3 years. And she wrote to me and she was like, I would like to be in relationship with you and like try to figure out what it means in different ways. And I'm like, why to me? Why does it have to take 3 years? And this is a conversation I will have with her. But why does it have to take 3 years in order for us to fix the thing that fractured us, right? What is it about? Is it white supremacy that we hold on to? Tam and I talk about this all the time. I don't want to constantly talk shit about someone just because I know that the responsibility lies on me because I have the bigger platform to not say something about the narrative that someone's trying to put out about me. Like, you know what I'm saying? To not be like, let me tell you where you have me fucked up. And let me tell you about all the places you showed up. I sit with people's critique of me and I go like this. Because it's with a grain of salt, like my mama used to say. I take it with a grain of salt. I hear you say I'm unstable and I'm problematic. I hear you say that. And then I also hear you do the problematic things. And so like, how do we as Black femmes, when we sit here and say, I'm not lending my space to white people, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, fuck y'all, but we enact the same violence amongst each other. And I'm saying this as a person who knows deeply that I may not do it out loud, but I'm certainly on the phone with my bestie, like, you know what this bitch fucking subbed me with today? Like, you know what I'm saying? How do we move past the fracture with one another? You know, if you was to say something about me after you get off the show, I would be like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't think I would reach out to you. I don't think that we could squash it. And I think sometimes if we did squash it, you have this subset of people over here like, nah, don't let that shit go because she said this to you. And like, you know what I'm saying? How do we, if we say Black women are all we got, how do we enact that shit? What do we really mean when we say that? Only this 5 Black women is all we got? Because then I'm with my same 5 white friends. Like, you know what I'm saying? Don't get me drinking on the show. I might tell the truth. Like, well, I don't know the question I just asked you.
Well, we need to be honest, because a lot of us, when we say trust Black women or I want all Black women to win, a lot of us are thinking and talking about a very specific kind of Black woman. Ooh. Right? So respectability politics, see, this is why we need to get granular and we need to get clear with each other.
Oh, you talking about the sugar? Okay.
Right. Like, who are my actual people? What do we actually believe in? Do our values actually align, or do we assume they align? So that's number one. Number two, I don't think a lot of Black women not here for the diversity of Black femmes, right? And we have to be honest with ourselves and be like, can I really extend grace to you if I withhold it for myself? Can I really, is the thing in you that I can't
here to preach? Who am I?
Is the thing in you that I can't stand? Is that the thing I can't stand in myself? We don't tell the truth. We don't tell the truth to ourselves. And so that when another Black femme comes in, we're like, no. The fact of the matter is, I'm always going to go back to white supremacy, because the thing is, Black femmes, Black folks tend to have a lot of grace and compassion for masculine folks. They'll
somebody's shaking the table.
You know, like, they will go back and forth with these masculine folks all day, every day. As soon as you step out of line, you do something wrong. Oh, fuck that bitch. And to me, it's just like, that's that misogynoir. That's that internalized anti-Blackness.
So we do it to each other. Not that we're agents of it, right?
Right. We do it to each other because we do it to ourselves. We do it to each other because we do it to ourselves. And I just think it's just like, we have to I identify strongly as a feminist, and I think we have moved away from really talking about patriarchy. And patriarchy, whether we're, even if we're all queer, we're not really competing for a cishet man. What happens is patriarchy sets up this dynamic where it makes me feel like all femmes she's always a step away from becoming my foe. And so I'm constantly walking around like, she might shank me, so I'm gonna shank her first. So it's like we're not ever really in community with each other. We're not ever really trust. There's no trust, because I'm waiting for you to drop the ball, and I'm gonna get you before you get me. And so what happens is, when the conflict arises, it was just like, well,
as if conflict could never arise, but it's going to happen. It's what we do with it when it appears.
Exactly, because actually conflict allows us the opportunity to deepen a relationship if we take it as such. So what happens is, when the conflict happens, it's like, well, I knew DiDi wasn't shit anyways. I knew she was anyways, and this just whatever. So again, how can I say I want liberation when I can't even be free within my own friendships, and I can't do and I can't move? See, this is the praxis part. A lot of us is fronting on these internets. We fronting at our jobs.
I need to hear this.
We are fronting because the minute life gives us the opportunity to exercise and put our politics into praxis, all of a sudden there's 11 reasons as to why I cannot. And so to me, it's just like, this is white supremacy once again working well. It's just like, it's making me feel as if every Black woman is a potential enemy until she proves herself otherwise. And you know what? That is so limiting. I'm always going to fail within those bounds. You're always going to fail within those bounds.
Crystal Beck says, there is always a floor full of eggshells.
Let me tell you something. To me, Black women are medicine. Black women are everything to me. However, the most debilitating heartache I've experienced have been at the hands of Black women friends. I am the kind of person who feels as if I'm never sure if Black women like me, or if I'm cool, if this, that, and the third. So I get it. That whole walking on eggshells, I get it. And to me, it's just like, until we all really get serious and do our own internalized work in our healing, and we really uproot and deal with our internal ugly, I can't sit with your ugly if I can't sit with my own.
And so what's the resolve for that? Because it's like, okay, say you and I are building and we're in community, and like I feel like, wow, this conversation has opened me up to you, and I'm feeling you now. We start chilling, we start talking. I come to British Columbia so I can get my fucking nails done during this COVID-19 shit, and you like, I welcome you to my home, and we start hanging. It's cool, kiki, haha, giggle, share the same dope ass analysis. A little bit because, you preferred Nikki Giovanni, and I was like, nah, James has some points. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like, then all of a sudden we have a conflict, right? And that fracture is like that hairline fracture. It's very slight, but how do we rebuild from that? Because I know a lot of women. I just blocked someone today, who has 10 times the platform I have. And I know that one of my friends watching this is going to be like, because you know who I'm talking about. But I blocked her because I had a very serious conversation with her about someone she is in relationship with, who is extremely light-skinned and is extremely when I say this woman who's the light-skinned person is like a published author and like this, that, and the third, and she's just out here wreaking havoc amongst Black women. But sometimes I think that we as Black women be like, what you said earlier, you made a mention earlier about we allow grace for Black women if they're a certain type of Black woman. And so often the Black women that is happening to, that trauma is happening to at the hands of either lighter skinned Black women, myself included, or at those who have a large platform and feel like their accountability has gone beyond the hood. Right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when we started, their accountability has gone beyond the hood. It now becomes a point of, well, this brazen beauty, this caramel latte ice cream is going to get me to where I need to be. And I need her to promote my platform. And so you telling me this is shitting on my bread. I think I've had more arguments with Black women about a perceived shitting on then the shitting has actually happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so if I engage in a friendship with you, I guess is my question. What do you say that you and I won't go through this moment where the trust has been broken, the vow is brought, and we don't know how to swing the pendulum again?
Well, I mean,
damn. I gotta have the answer. I mean, this is some real shit, though.
It is, and so many of us are going through it. But to me, it's just a matter of values and integrity. Because sometimes what I think happens is we make a lot of assumptions in our friendships and the people we walking with. And so when you do call that person in around that, if that person has no analysis and no understanding around colorism and stuff of that nature, it's gonna seem like a personal attack. So how do I? If you're calling me in on something, I have to be flexible enough to be like, what part of this is me? What part of this is the system enacting within me? And those kind of things. And so to me, it's just like, if we come to Black femme sisterhood differently, we define friendship differently, we define liberation differently, yeah, that hairline fracture is going to turn into a border for sure. It's going to turn into a border.
Someone just joined the live that I remember, because I'm old, right? And I remember that my stepdaughter, my first marriage, my husband was 13 years older than me, and she was very good friends. I mean, like, this girl, I looked at her as a second daughter, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they're not friends anymore, but it's not as close. And as I think about even things like that amongst our children, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that it's just, there's no consistency because everybody is bleeding out here.
bleeding. And so
and
we
acting
don't,
as if they're not bleeding. No, everything is fine. She did this to me. I'm cut because, and not really talking about the traumas that existed prior to that, and just being honest and sitting with the fact that, Lou, you was having a really shitty day and I didn't ask about it, and it annoyed you even further.
See, Black women, we talk a lot about how other people treat us like mules, and a lot of people bind us in that strong Black woman thing. We do it to each other. We also do it to each other. So my thing is, it's like, when we do get in conflict, instead of me coming to you and being vulnerable and be like, I'm hurt, I miss you, I want you back, I want our friendship back, what can we do to fix this?
Right.
We'd be like, well, fuck it, you know, and we'd be like, well, whatever. And so we toughen up, and we'd be like, well, she don't miss me. She if she missed me, she would have called, she would have did it. It's just like, so we, the same things we hate that other people do to us, the same ways in which people don't allow us to be our full 3-dimensional selves. We could be both soft and strong. We could not have all the answers, and we could show up raggedy.
Not have all the answers.
We could not have all the answers.
I'm gonna make myself hot dogs after this. Go ahead.
We do the same thing to each other, and because we don't, it's very hard for femmes to give other femmes grace. That's where I'm landing. It's very hard. I think we've all been trained to rally behind masculine folks. We've all been trained to give masculine folks 50,000 different chances. We do not do it for each other. And and so if you make one little mistake, everybody claims they're abolitionists and they're about transformative justice. Don't nobody want to be transformed though, but don't nobody want to be transformed, and don't nobody want to set nobody free. So everyone is their own jailer, everyone is a parole officer, and we all got a list of people we can't fuck with. And you know what?
I hope people are getting what you're saying.
I really hope so too.
I have talked about so many people ask me to like hold accountability spaces, and I'm like, no, because I've been there on the receiving end of a circle process. I've also been the person that helped facilitate a circle process, and none of you niggas know what the fuck you want. Half of y'all is like, no, I just want the person to like be back in the community again. And then you turn around and you then become the person that exiled the person out of the community. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's wild to me. I've seen so much in my 4 little years, and I hate it. I hate it here.
And this is how are we going to have the world that we want with justice if we can't practice living in it now? How, y'all? How? All we're going to do is move out the white people and be the Black people, be the brown people, be the queer people, be the trans people, doing the same thing that the white people did. That's all we're going to do. Right.
And you from Miami, bitch. Okay.
I am. I'm 305 till I die. I
feel you.
And so to me, it's just like, I mean, we don't do our work, DiDi. We don't do our work. We don't do our work. We don't read.
Sometimes Pamela calls me out and I'm like,
yeah,
that's not true.
We don't read. We don't study together. And so what happens is when we get in these situations, we can't be in principle struggles because we actually have no shared defined principles. And you can't.
We have no shared defined principles.
We have no shared defined principles. On that,
because I see a lot of. I'm actually Facebook friends with a lot of women that I follow because they're Love and Light sis. And then I'm like, when engaging with them, it's like, but I don't like you. I'm not saying that we all have to like one another. Well, I need that same love and light energy that you was given to the sis, because I am like Issa Rae said it, but I don't know if she really do it. I don't follow her. I am rooting for everybody Black, even the Hoteps. Somebody I used to fuck with heavy, Janiyah Khan, was like, at the end of the day, y'all could talk all the shit you want to about Hoteps, but at one point in your life, you was a hotep. That was your entry point, right? That was your entry point into Black feminist literature. You didn't wake up one day, unless your mother was Michelle Wallace, you didn't wake up one day and was like, oh my God, look at me, identifying the Black macho in this liberation. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I really fuck with that analysis. Like, we need to hold each other in grace when we fuck up, or when we say, I need to, you know what, even me. Somebody inboxed me the other day and was like, you need to do this for me. I was like, do I? And then I had to check myself. Well, I'm only saying, do I need to do this? Because at the end of the day, I've assigned what type of Black woman that is. You understand what I'm saying? And that was fucked up of me. And so this is, you're right. We're not doing our work and we need to. So thank you for that offering. I appreciate you on that.
Yeah, this is how we keep ourselves honest. We have to keep ourselves honest. And so as we engage more in our internal work, because the more you could sit with your stuff, the more you see how you are in contradictions and how you full of shit sometimes, you be like, oh, of course. When I see the full of shit and I see somebody else, I can have a little bit more grace.
What's your full of shit?
What's my full of shit?
What's your full of shit?
Well, I guess it's this very conversation, like reminding myself when the hairline fracture happens. Oh, right. Well, okay. So what we gonna go for? Are we gonna go with fuck that, be mad and block, unfollow, or we gonna root down and do this work and be like, okay, you believe in abolition, you believe in transformative justice, you are a feminist, this is a Black femme, what you gonna do? What would you go? How you gonna respond?
Let's model something right now. I don't know. My ancestors right here on this table. Let's model something right now. Thank you, mommy. So listen. So you shared something. You didn't, but I'm just saying, like, you know, actually I don't follow my friends because I have been accused twice in my career. I've been doing this since 2014. I have been accused twice of sharing something that somebody else said that they said first. And then it turned out somebody said it 6 months before them. So anyways, so I don't follow y'all. If you happen to share something that somebody has commented on a lot of times, I think Facebook algorithms do pop you up in my feed. And I'll be like, oh, I haven't seen my girl Lulu in a minute. Let me like see what's going on here. So let's say that I say, let's see what's going on here. And you had written, I don't know, you were like, I want to talk about Joe Biden and the presidential race and whether or not niggas is really voting blue over everything and this, that, and the third, or whatever. And then you was like, well, I'm for Joe Biden. And I go like this, Lou, what happened? I instinctively make a decision right then and there that I'm going to unfollow you because I don't ever want to see this shit up in my timeline. And then I cause this disconnection between me and you. So if this was me, do you think you would be open? This is me modeling. All I can ask is, can we model?
Right.
I don't know the answers. Do you think that you, as a Black woman who's passionate about Joe Biden fucking winning this election, right? You would be open to me sliding in your DM to be like, Lou, can we have a conversation? Because some things have come up for me on your post. And I just want to check in with you, see if you good, and like see if we could like have at least an understanding of the mind about this. And it might end in a bad way, but at least instead of me being, I would call it passive aggressive, instead of me taking one action that might then cause a rift between you, at least you know where I stand. And wait, does that conversation then lend me to the abuse of then you talking to 4 of your friends and being like, you know, that bitch told me I can't vote blue? You understand what I'm saying? How do we do this?
So James Baldwin has that quote that nothing can, and I'm paraphrasing badly, but nothing can be fixed that can't be confronted, right? And so just because we confront each other don't mean we're gonna land at being cool and being besties. However, that principle struggle, right? And keyword struggle. So you come to me and you tell me that, and I'm just like, okay, hopefully I can hear you out, you can hear me out, and we can agree to be like, well, here are my reasons why I'm doing this.
Right.
And you could be like, here are your reasons you're doing that. And I think at the end of the day, if we can arrive to that, that's beautiful. That's amazing. I still want liberation for you. I still want your bills paid. I still want you to have found love and all that other stuff. But at the same time, I'm letting you know, based on my principles, this is the decision I'm making right now. And that way, if we both choose to tell the story, however we want to choose the story, we can tell the story like we had the conversation.
We had that conversation.
And this is where we landed. And so that way, neither one of us gets to go into our respective corners and fabricate a story.
Right. Or make the assumption based on the perception. Because I feel like a lot of times what happened with me, and this is just my personal experience. I can't speak on your experiences with Black women because I don't know them, right? In my line of work, it then becomes people saying, well, you know, she's this, she's that. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I've never not once said one thing out loud about you. Even if it's in private, I'd be like, I had an argument with her. She did X, Y, and Z to me. And me personally, I don't fuck with her no more. But I wish you the best in whatever business adventure. I feel like when we tear each other out, you ever seen an MLM, like the multi-level marketing companies? And they be like, and you can make residual income, right? Passive income while you sleep, right? Black women do this to each other. Our petty is so fucking universal healthcare, nigga, that we, and you get a stimulus check. You get a stimulus check. And yours came 6 weeks later, bitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm tired of it. And, you know, me and my homegirl talked about it today. We both feel like we have been examining, I won't say talking about, I mean, because we actually have real ass conversations. Well, I think that this person has done X, Y, and Z because of Y, right? And being able to see the duality. But I feel like I've been examining the same conversations with some folks for years. And this is what I was going to bring up to you. I think of Ta-Nehisi Coates and Cornel West and how they had their epic Twitter beef. Ta-Nehisi left the internet, like, you know, he deactivated his page. And I think I shared something about it. I was like, the nigga left the whole Twitter because he didn't know the block feature exists. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but sometimes for what, I don't know what, to this day, I still don't know what Cornel West was talking about, number one. I don't know what Ta-Nehisi was talking about either. To me, it didn't matter. I felt like I have this thing about mixed company. I don't know. That's when you say principle, for me, a principle is mixed company. I don't want to argue with you in front of mixed company. Someone asks me about you, and I know that that's how you get bread and butter. I'm never gonna tell her, don't fuck with this person. Literally, white women have come to me about the people that hate me and be like, well, what do you think? I'm like, I can't tell you what I think. It's not none of your business. I'll tag the white people right now and be like, didn't I tell you it wasn't none of your business?
You see, but that's a value. That's a value. So you have a value that even when I am in conflict with someone, I am not going to get in the way of their livelihood and their check. And you know what? A lot of people don't share that value. And it's unfortunate you don't find that out until you're in deep conflict with the person and they are trying to stop you from feeding yourself. And right. So oh God. You know, okay, so you said something earlier.
What did I say?
About like you don't like to use the word conflict.
I don't. So it's conflicting for me.
Okay, so I usually recommend this book, and within the social justice circles, people feel a kind of way about it. But the book is Conflict is Not Abuse. I think what happens is like we are all very good at conflating conflict with abuse. So all of a sudden.
Ah, the ghetto. Let me go put on my high heels real quick. I'm needing links in this bitch.
Because what happens is DiDi calls me in, sends me a message. I don't agree with it. We talk. I can't live with that. All of a sudden,
I can't live with the fact that I talk to you. No, but talk about it. Talk about it.
Live with it.
I can't live with the fact that I talk to you.
I can't live with the fact that you have the nerve to call me in.
I can't live type of Black woman. That's why.
I can't live with the fact that not only did you have the nerve to message me, you had the nerve to meet up with me and tell me what you needed to tell me to my face. And then when I told you what I needed to say, you had the nerve not to be happy with it and stand on your principles and be like, actually, I want the best for you, but I'm not going to fuck with you going forward. And so what happens is I take all of that nerve, and all of a sudden DiDi is an abuser, and I go off into the world and lambaste you to everyone and their mama. And I don't want you to have community. I don't want you to eat. I don't want you to be able to pay your light bills. I want pain and suffering upon your doorsteps every day, because I am not okay with conflict.
My face is hot right now because you sitting here talking to me and my left eye is twitching. My face is hot right now because that's what, to me, that is what is. And it's not, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm a martyr. But I'm like, wow, I've not said one nasty thing about you, little cocky mamie ass. And here you are telling people that I'm not to be trusted. You can't make money with me. And I one time called somebody out, people were like, oh, who are you talking about? Tag them if you're really gully. So I tagged her. I edited the post and I tagged her. I said, here you go. I said, let me tell you something. Anytime you want to center yourself in a conversation about blackness, you yourself are not black, so you let me know. If you want to be on the cover of Rolling Stone, if you want to be doing this, I don't understand why you're so concerned with me and what I do. Be about your business. And so that's why I don't mention none of these people no more. After I tagged her, that was 2018. I tagged this woman in 2018. I will never tag another woman of color again, as much as I want to. As much as I want to, because you know what? I have a deadline to meet. Like, you know what I'm saying? And these side bitches is just distracting me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Do I want to resolve it? Absolutely. Sometimes I see that woman that I tagged. I think we were on a phone call the other day and like she was in her little Zoom corner and I was in mine. And my heart felt a little warm toward her. I was glad to see her on the call. I was glad to see that she's making it through this COVID-19. And at the end of the day, until you apologize to me publicly for the shit that you've been saying about me, I can't feel comfortable building or repairing a relationship with you privately when people still know that this is what you think about me.
And you know what? That's fair. Because again, that's a principle. So to me, so to me, that's fair. That's fair, because if the harm happened in a very specific kind of way, you want the atonement to happen in a very specific kind of way. And I can't argue with that. It is what it is.
Do you think that we could learn to apologize to one another in a way that we've never been apologized to?
Yeah. But you got to do your work, because there's an art to giving an apology. And also, if a lot of us because we have to learn to distinguish between, I feel bad for what I did. We have to learn to distinguish between, I'm sad that I hurt your feelings, but I'm not actually sorry for what I did. Yeah. And a lot of us rush to apologize for things that we're not willing to change our behavior. And the biggest I'm sorry is change behavior. So if you ain't change your behavior,
the biggest I'm sorry is change behavior.
If you don't change your behavior and you don't show me and you're not willing to take atonement, what you're doing is just engaging in manipulation and coercion. You're just trying to get ahead of the story. And so, yes.
That's why I don't give them bitches the power. I don't tell the story. I be like, y'all think what y'all want to think. Because whether I'm Beyonce or I'm Pink, and I tell you the whole thing, right? Y'all still going to think what you want to think anyway. So go ahead.
Yeah. And as Black people specifically, who this nation has not apologized to us for chattel slavery. Right. We haven't received reparations, this, that, and the third. It is imperative to our livelihood we learn how to give good apologies, and we learn how to atone, and we take accountability. But that's deep soul work.
When you say atone, I feel like I know what you mean, but I wanna like not push back on the word, but I wanna ask you like what you mean by it, because a lot of times, and when I say a lot of times, you're talking about my platform is like 14,000 people, and then that's like just people who liked it. Like when I share something, the organic reach goes to 75K easy, right? And so I've literally quadrupled the number of people I interact with. So if I have problems with 10 Black folks, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, out of 75,000, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. Like, you know? And so I think about that when you say the word atone, that has been the criticism that I've been sitting with. You want me to atone for something, and you're not willing to apologize for the things you've done. And I think there is, I want to be succinct when I say this. There is a conversation in which we believe that, like you said, the conflict means that we're punishing one another. Like, even sometimes with my best friend, if she tells me something she sees in me, I'm like, we've broken up today. The conflict has broken us up. I'm all set with you. And I told her, in the same vein that I shared, I'm going to be doing these series of candid conversations with many people about different things. We're about to get into your social justice doula work, right? But I've said to her, I don't like it when I'm seen in this way, because I'm not, I think what it is, I'm about to be on the precipice of greatness right now. I think what it is because as a Black femme, I'm not seen, period. And so when you come to me and then you tell me you see my conflict, you see my flaws, you see my, not my idiosyncrasies, but my hypocrisy and my what's the fucking Starburst commercial? Contradictions. They are full of contradictions, right? When you see my contradictions and you haven't seen nothing else, I hate you. I want you to die and suffer, bitch. I'm struggling out here for people to see me, and you see my contradictions, you hold it out. But I'm like, I think that when we call each other in, we forget about all the good shit we called upward for.
Yeah. What I hear you saying is that you want a little bit more tenderness around the calling. You want a little bit more you want tenderness. And you just don't want to hear, you don't want to hear the litany of the things that you've done wrong. And you know what? As a Black femme, who else on this planet deserves tenderness? Even when she's being raggedy and awful, I can still come again. I keep going back to principle.
Tell me about how raggedy I am.
There is a principle way for me to come tell you, now, boo, what you did, it was a little raggedy, but your actions was raggedy, but you yourself ain't never gonna be raggedy. But I'm gonna need you to clean this up. And so what happens is, again, the very things Black women are, people are quick to discard us, quick to dispose us, quick to cancel us, step on us and whatever. And we forget to give that tenderness to each other. Because I can tell you a hard thing and not denigrate your entire being. I can, and I should, and it should be imperative that I learn the freaking skills to do that. Because if I don't learn those skills, maybe I should hold off on giving my critique.
Woo! And that goes for me too.
Yeah, maybe I should hold off on it.
I'm not well versed at all in how to tell people, and so I do the weird thing. This is my weird thing that I do. I don't say nothing at all. And then people be like, damn, DiDi don't talk to me and cut me off cold turkey. And it's because it's like, I don't know how to tell you I feel some type of way without telling you the whole way I feel. So that is my work. And I appreciate you holding that space. That is my work. Because I gave it to a white man today that pays me to show up in this way. But when it comes to Black femmes, I'm like, oh, let me tell you about yourself, you little fucking, like, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, how do I make it so that way my payment is the love that I have for Black women? So thank you for that.
Yeah, we practice by practicing. So we got to practice with each other. We got to practice.
I want you to tell me about the title, Social Justice Doula. Now, I think I know what a doula is, right? To me, I wanted a doula. I reached out to Luana Morales. I reached out to Erykah Badu because I heard she was a doula. I used to be that famous. I'm just a regular person now, but I used to be that famous. I was like, Erykah got to say yes to me because I'm okay. She got to say yes. I mean, what else is there? Right?
You're amazing.
She got to say yes. I mean, like, and this bitch did not even read. She's making pussy underwear, like, you know, and incense or whatever. And I couldn't just say yes to just rub my belly 4 times and help me pull Egypt out. Okay, all right, I see you, Erykah. So I think about, what does a doula mean? Because I just wanted her to be in the room with me and then us take a picture. What is a doula? But then you are a social justice doula. Like, how
Okay, so we know the midwife is the person who catches the baby, right?
Right.
So the doula is a person who creates the vibe for that, so that birth can happen, right? So if the person giving birth needs their back rubbed, I don't know, maybe dishes need to be washed, or maybe whatever the space is needed. Um, the doula, to me, they curate the space for that birth can happen, right? And so we know there are birth doulas, there are abortion doulas, there are death doulas. They literally hold space for transformation, transition to happen. And so for me, when I think about social justice doula, I think about, I curate and cultivate spaces for social justice learning to take place so that we can practice being different with each other. We can practice putting our politics into play, so that way we can make the changes in our society that we need to make. So literally, I am holding space, creating the space, and pushing people where they need to be so that their actions can align with their politics that they say they believe in.
Right.
So
thank you so much.
Yeah, so that's it.
I was like, what is a social justice doula? And then I'm like, because you be hitting me with these words. And like I told you, like the whole premise behind the show is to bring university. I hope I gave my Austin Powers like university level learning through a whole Netflix series. It's fun and engaging. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so like when I say university, I mean like, how do we not give our best selves to the fucking ivory tower, right? You know what I'm saying? And how do we keep our best selves for ourselves and then our community, right? And so when I talk about university level, there are people who are going to be on the show that is like lived a life full of life experiences that the university is paying to get data on. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and so for you, when I hear you say that you're a community scholar, I would like for you to explain that to me. Like, what are we on the same wavelength? What do you mean by when you say you're like a PhD candidate? So when you say you're also a community scholar, what does that mean?
I'm almost a PhD candidate. However, okay, so what does that mean? That means that I am a firm believer that everything that I learn, everything that I get from the university, I am going to take it out of there and bring it to my people. So instead of like doing this whole weird thing of like trying to get the university to make seat at the table for my people, nah, fam, I am no, like my people don't need to be here because this space is violent and disgusting and awful. And so like I have chosen to avail myself to it, but I wouldn't recommend. It's not something I would recommend, is the moral of the story. So anything, all learning that I get from the university that allows me a little bit more space to think about these things, I bring it back to my people. Because to me, it's my people who gave me Black feminism. It's my people who taught me who I was. The university didn't give me that. It helped sharpen that, but like it didn't give me those things. My people gave me those things. And so whatever good thing that I come across, I must bring it back to my people. So for me, a community scholar, the kind of scholar I want to be, it's just like, how do I take Black feminist thought and bring it to organizers, community folks?
Black feminist thought or Black feminist thoughts?
Black feminist thought.
Okay.
Yeah. So how do I bring Black feminism and bring it to my people so that way people who are organizing and on the front line can do better work, so they can understand like the intuitive knowledge that they have. I just want to be able to say like, that's on point. And here's the theory that you're already doing the theory, but here's the name of the theory. And here are all the other things associated with it. So that way people can do good organizing work. And so to me, I just feel as if when the revolution comes, the revolution needs it needs its own scholars. It needs its own people. And so for me, that's what I feel like. I feel like I want to be the kind of, because I'm a social worker. I've been a community organizer. So I've gone through the ranks. And for me, it's just like, okay, let me get this PhD, but my work is not within the walls of the academy. My work is with the people in the front lines, period.
Thank you so much for explaining that. I feel on fire. I'm about to be a community scholar too. The fuck you heard.
But you are. But look what you're doing. You holding court. You are But you are though. That the conversation you had with Tobias was like amazing. Like but
Thank
you
you.
are
That's
though.
all
You're
tea.
you're
That's all
doing the
tea.
thing. You're doing the thing. You're doing the thing that like most scholars are not interesting enough and engaging enough to hold the kind of court that you're doing.
I think that that's what I'm trying to do is like, I just want to have conversations with amazing people. And, you know, and the fact that so many people signed on to have these conversations with me, for me, really affirms for me, because I haven't written anything, I would say, in like a year. Like, I mean, unless you count the slight article I did, because white people was getting on my nerves. I was like, listen, y'all keep talking about because you're poor, you ain't got it, that you're not the descendant of slave owners. You are, like, you know what I'm saying? And this is like some 10 quick ways in which you can help out, you know, and that was helpful for a little while, but I haven't really written anything because I want to focus on my art. I wish I could turn my laptop around right now and you could see I have sticky pad paper, you know, the 24 by 36 on the walls, and I'm writing poems and I'm painting and doing all the most wildest things because I feel like I've lost myself as an artist. Say to me, no, sis, I see you out here. Like, I guess that's just in contrast to people. I think of Damon Young, who was like, it's not that people was out here dragging me when I wrote that article. It's just that people was just very loud about their, right? You know, and I need to reconcile that some people are trying to drag me, but there are just some people that are very loud and wrong about their opinion, you know, because I already know who I am myself, and what I don't know, I'm going to learn along the way. It's not going to be because somebody like sucker punched it into me, like, you know what I'm saying? So I want to say thank you for allowing me to see that. I want to ask you, the other day, I think it was like maybe 4 or 5 days ago, I came across a video of yours on YouTube. Trying to do my gratitudes on YouTube, and then I was like, let me look and see this girl on the YouTube, right? And then sure enough, there's you were. You got a whole channel. I was ready for it. So you were talking about my favorite show in the whole world. First of all, it's now my second favorite show because Tiger King is #1. Unless somebody gives me a new show, I don't know what I'm doing right now. And I want to get your hot takes on a couple of shows.
Okay.
I haven't seen the Clark sisters yet.
Okay. I haven't either.
Are we doing a watch party?
We should do a watch party for
sure.
I'm
ready. You name me the date and the time, we there. I'm gonna buy everybody popcorn on the popcorn list.
Okay.
I'll do it. I'm thinking about Love is Blind.
Yes, I watched Love is Blind and I watched Tiger King.
What are your thoughts? I'm very interested to hear about this.
Tiger King? Tiger King? Yeah, so I posted something on Facebook yesterday. Like, okay, so wow. First of all, for Netflix to drop this while we all quarantining was just like both very helpful and ridiculous. Right. Just really helpful and ridiculous. So I guess what I would say is just like, I was entertained and I was intrigued, but there's a lot of foolishness, DiDi, because, you know, Black people would not be allowed to have all that land with all them people, animals, and doing all of that foolishness, right? So I think Joe Exotic is a predator.
Yes. I've seen those think pieces. Yeah, and I think it's very dangerous the way they trying to make it seem like he's some cuddly whatever person because he's gay, and I don't like that. I think we're in this age of identity that is certain people check certain boxes that they can't be harmful, and I'm not with that. So Joe Exotic is 150% a predator. Carol Baskin is equally as exploitative of animals and people as Joe Exotic is. Thank you. To me, Carol Baskin is peak. I'll be here all week. Peak white feminism. Peak. Thinking she better, thinking she this. Meanwhile, you trafficking in the same BS. How you have a whole entire business ran by volunteers? Right. That's generating business. No, man. That's generating income, serious income. That's generating serious income. So although Joe Exotic did not pay his people well, he paid them something. This woman. Somebody lost an arm. Somebody got to get paid out here. Bitch, I said, let me go back to episode 2 real quick. I still have whiplash because it was just like
thing after thing after thing. How Saf get their whole arm ripped off? The first thing Joe Exotic do is put on a red vest. Sir, sir, they are bleeding. Right. What are you doing? And then he runs to go tell the people, he runs to go tell people, do you want your money back? It's just like the ambulance didn't even get there yet. Like,
can you hold on? Can you just focus on the mission at hand? I do like what you said about the whole. So Danielle Slaughter, I love her to death. Mama Demix, I have emailed her and I would love to have her on the show. I reached out to her and she had shared this post. And it was like, you ever share something that you regret? For me, that's what it would have been. And so it was this think piece on about how everyone is, like you said, giving deference to Joe and poor Joe. And why is he in jail? I don't give a fuck if white people get jailed. I really don't. Like, you know what I'm saying? What I was confused about is how they, in the narratives that they talk about Joe being a predator, they elevate white feminism by putting Carol as the bastion of goodness, right? And I was like, nobody asked for this entire think piece about this white woman, and then I looked at it and said, oh, never mind. It's a white woman who wrote this. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So two things. So yes, Carol Baskin, I believe, was a victim of sexist and misogynist editing. Okay. And at the same time, if Carol Baskin was a man and their wife went missing under those same circumstances, right, nobody would be caping. So do we know enough to say that Carol did it or not? No, I don't think we know enough to say she didn't either. But I will say this though, the things we do know, I do know that she also has animals in cages and she's also profiting off of animals in cages. That is enough for me. Right. That is enough for me.
Are you vegan?
No, I'm not.
Thank God, because I almost deleted, no, seriously, I almost deleted someone off my timeline today on Insta because it was like, how to know Black veganism. And I was like, what the fuck is this shit? And then I realized it was somebody I actually really love. And I didn't.
You see, and DiDi, we are in the age of identity where everything becomes an identity. Why can't it just be a choice? I choose not to eat, whether it be for socio-political reasons or not. Why does it now have to be like I have to take on a persona because of? It's just like we doing too much. And so
love is blind. You look like you're about to cry.
Love is blind, because Love is Blind had me swept up for like 2-3 days, maybe a good.
I wasn't talking to nobody. I was like, I gotta finish the show.
Yeah, Love is Blind. Love is Blind is a pure example that heterosexual people need an intervention. They need help.
I'm done.
They need help because I do appreciate the fact that we got to see that men are equally as thirsty for getting wifed up as women are. So that was good to see. However, to me, it was just like, these people would have been better off just doing their own personal healing work. It's just people really believe marriage solves problems and plugs all these kinds of holes.
I feel personally attacked. You know I'm slated to get married. Go ahead, tell me about it.
You are? Yeah. Good. But so good, because I'm sure based off this conversation, you're slated to have a radical marriage.
I hope so. I don't know what it's about to be. We'll see.
Bam. Okay, so that's my whole thing. So to me, it was just like, y'all, like really, y'all just like, you're having these conversations with people in the pod and already I just found it, I was flabbergasted by how quickly they move, because every relationship I've ever had where we did everything at lightning speed just didn't, it fizzled out rather quickly because we didn't know anything about each other. So I don't know, it was very entertaining, it was foolish, it was ridiculous.
I skipped ahead on the weddings. I wanted to just see the Black girl and the white guy. It's always a Black woman with a ginger ass white dude. And it's a regular white dude with not red hair. I can't believe it.
You know, and let me just say this, and I know people gonna feel a kind of way. Their relationship is so bland and so boring. People were making it seem like their relationship is the great American love
Like
story. No,
white
it's not.
saviorism, or like the love story. Like, what is it? What year was it? Like that interracial marriage happened, and it was like the whole
Yeah,
story.
loving versus yeah.
I love it, and I just like. I mean, I liked her as a person, and that's
Right.
why I was like really like rooting for her, because I just wanted to see her as a Black woman win. I didn't like that his name was Cameron. I didn't like that he looked uncomfortable every single time she smiled. like he could not look like he loved her unless he was like perplexed about something. Like, you know, like that's what I mean about white saviorism. It was like trying to like be like, no, I got us. And he was a scientist. I don't know. I want to stumble across a person of color like in that position who is that thirsty enough to be like, and also I'd like a woman of color at the same time. Like, you know, it was weird for me to see that, like that they chose that white saviorism position for him to be a scientist. And then, you know, I think she had her own business, but it was kind of like, she's like, oh my God, your house is so big. And I'm like, oh my, don't do this, sis. Not right now.
Yeah. I mean, Cameron was very interesting because he was very touchy-feely upon her, and just like
if he did this one more time to her shoulder or to her elbow, I was gonna throw up.
There was a lot of he was moving in very interesting, possessive ways. And in my opinion, Cameron would have, if you would have went on the show, I would have went on the show, Cameron would have married us too. Cameron was ready to be married, period. In my opinion,
Cameron was ready to be married to a Black woman. I mean,
exactly. And so, and I think it's interesting because when men are ready to be married, I think that's just literally what they do. I think they just stand up, look around, and like, who's available? Okay, I don't think it's a whole production. I don't think it's they make the decision, and they're just like, not all men, but some men. But it just seemed like Cameron was like, I got a nice job, I got a nice house. It's time for a wife. That's it. Literally is what it sounded like.
This motherfucker was talking about babies. They hadn't even. She was like,
yeah. Again,
I want her to be comfortable. I'd like to see where they end up in 3 years. But when you talk about marriage, I laugh because I kind of feel how you feel about marriage. For me, I feel like my marriage is about to be a social experiment on if I give a fuck, right? Like, no, seriously, like if I give a fuck, that's about to be my marriage. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, everybody knows I'm poly. Everybody knows I do, like, I've always been the person to do what it is I want to do. And you shared with me some interesting thoughts that you had about marriage. You're like, oh, we're going to talk about this? Yes.
Go ahead.
Before you go into your interesting thought about marriage,
yeah,
I have to tell you the most interesting thought I've had in my brain the entire time. Through my passion about not using the word of conflict, through our conversations about you being a social justice doula and a community scholar and an MSW and a dope radical Black femme who's queer, who's all the things, who's got beautiful dreadlocks. I need to know what lip color that is, baby. I'm not going to be whole until I know.
Okay, so this is Fenty.
Yes.
So yeah, this one.
It looks different on everybody.
Yeah. Oh, so you have it.
Yes,
you have to, because everyone has it. Like, yeah, that was a SOS. Every Black woman get it. Yeah. So yeah, this is literally Fenty, and that's the beauty of it, because it does look different on everybody.
On you.
Thank you, boo. I
was like, is this Ruby Woo or not? And also, you know that the pixelation on Zoom is terrible, but
I was looking for Ruby Woo. I could not find, and then so because Ruby Woo is kind of a little bit my favorite because it has a little bit more.
Inbox me your address.
Yeah. Oh, okay, thank you. A bluish tint to it, and so yeah. Okay, so marriage. So look. So you're a poly person, and you understand that, like,
am I a whole person? Sometimes I'm missing pieces of myself. I don't know.
But so my question to you, as a poly person, why are you getting married? Before I even say what I want to say, why are you getting married?
Wow, the interviewee. If I had to be honest, Anthony is so close to my heart.
Okay.
And I want to see him succeed in a way that's super meaningful. We've been dating for over a year. And as an individual who happens to be in a really tough place, I do this thing, right? Where I'm like, I love you enough to get through this, right? And so I think that it's interesting as the person that I am. I think that I felt personally attacked when you said you give grace, that we as Black women give grace to masculinity more than we do to each other, because I think about women that I'm currently dating, and I always knew that this would come up. Ooh, but I just didn't think it would be you who asked me. I was like, give me a month to like figure it out. There are two women that I'm currently dating, and I can't stand either one of them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not in a bad way. And they know what I mean when I say it. It's just the level of involvement for our relationship is actually more than that is required of me. I cannot believe that I'm saying this. It's actually more than is required of me from a cishet man. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, I thought about Simone yesterday. Like, I've been thinking about this since Simone came on the show yesterday, and she said, I had to leave him because he only loved me at 50%. And I needed somebody that was like at least 80, 100, right? And I struggle with that because I participate in misogyny, I think. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when I date women, and I try not to date women anymore. You know, I call my best friend Sophia. She lives in Atlanta. I was like, Sophia, I'm not gonna be gay anymore. And so she was like, bitch, what is wrong with you? A fellow gay herself. I was like, it's time to have a state of the DiDi union. Like, I cannot do this anymore because I feel like I get involved with women and there is like immediately a certain set of expectations, whereas men don't expect much from you, actually. And I'm talking about for me.
Right.
Men that I have dealt with, because they're off doing their own thing. There's not much of an expectation that I need to show up in a certain way, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I actually value those relationships more than I do with the Black women that I'm in love with, because it's really a struggle for me to be like, wow, I can't meet you here. So instead of me telling you I can't meet you here, I'm gonna come up with all sorts of bullshit excuses. And that's why I say I participate in misogyny. Because it comes out in fucked up ways. I promise you. So I try not to. I try not to. I just try to get married.
Ooh. I'm dead. Okay. Well, you see, Black women are really complicated and layered and beautiful and amazing. And baby, when you attempt to love a Black femme, clear your schedule, clear your year, clear your decade.
And I know what it feels like on the other end, because, you know, not that I give deference to cishet men, but I literally sometimes go down my stairs and I'll be like, now I know what y'all niggas was going through when I was sitting out here holding you accountable. Because the Black women that I'm dating, they really be out here and be like, oh, you know, your energy has changed. You did this. And I'm like, bitch, I've had the same energy. You know what I'm saying? But no, this
is priceless. I'm so glad I stumbled upon this.
I can't believe we're having this conversation, because it's like, I never talk about this, like, you know, but I feel like I have the same energy that I had last year, but I get what they're saying, that they feel like if I've been messing with them and talking with them this long, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we're having engaged in sexual relationships in the way that we are, if we're flying each other out, if we're doing this, if we're doing that, then there should be a point in which you say to me, the same way I would say that if I was dating a cishet man, like, so what is up? What are we doing? And in my brain, I do that shit that cishet men do to me, right? That's why I acknowledge it on this podcast. It is fucked up because I literally be like, why can't you let things just be where they are?
Okay, so you're doing that.
Boy. Okay, I'm a fuck boy.
Okay. It's these gender norms. It's these gender. So it's just like, it sounds like you're falling into a very gendered. It sounds like these relationships are being organized around gender in a way that that's not helpful and liberatory to anybody in the situation.
I don't even think that we're in a relationship, and that's how I know I'm a fuck boy, right? I mean, like in the way, because if I've made a clear boundary, so Nandi and I talk about this all the time. I've made a very clear boundary. I actually don't want to be with no one. Anthony is skating in very thin at a close second. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be with no one. I'm at this point in my life, and I've been here since October, where like, I don't know if people have even noticed that my posts about sexuality, I'm so glad that you are who you are, because this is a comfortable subject for me to talk about. My posts about sexuality, my posts about, you know, my pussy positive prayers and all this shit, like it hasn't come out of me because I've been focusing more on like school. I don't have time to have a wet vagina right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have time for nobody's mess, whether it's nobody's son, daughter, I was fucking a trans man. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't have time for it. And now that I'm getting married, I even told my husband 3 days ago, I was like, at the end of the day, I'm gonna focus on us. I said, I know it seems weird. I know it seems like something I've never done before, but I'm gonna focus on us. I said, regardless of how you feel, about how you think I'm still interacting out here in the world, I'm gonna, and I can't, he's gonna be mad at me that I'm saying this. I feel like I'm focusing on us while not focusing on us, because I'm still focused on me. Because I think often in times relationships, period. Why are you interviewing me? I think a lot of times in relationships, period, I end up losing myself in the relationship because I gotta make this better for this person because then it'll make my life easier. No, nigga, I need to just focus on myself, period. Like, you know, and I think that I think I started dating both of these women at a time when I was already recognizing I'm all set with relationships at this present point. It's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate, you know, the whole Black lesbian thing, because both of them are, you know, so the whole Black lesbian thing about the stereotype about like, when are we moving in with the U-Haul and all this other shit. I honestly believe that had I been truly given into the whole thought process about what do I really want from either gender or any of the genders, like what do I want from these kinds of relationships that I'm in where I'm putting my pussy up on a platter, like what do I want from this? I want the bag. That's what I want. Like, you know what I'm saying? And if you can't give that to me because it's attached to me providing my feelings in response to the payment for the bag, like, you know what I'm saying? Then I gotta keep it moving, because I'm here to make sure my community is on. This was the realest feel. I can't believe I got these feelings out, and I hate that I'm sharing this with you because I know you're also a Black queer woman. Like, but I feel like where I'm at right now, the place that I wanted to be, I might have wanted to be with someone in particular, but it's not going to work out that way because of the things it's attached to.
Yeah. BINGO. That's it. So I want you to do the liberatory thing and free yourself, because you sound like you got a lot on your plate, right? Love should emancipate us. It really should. I
want to be free and
love. Right.
Which I was asking you about love, and now I'm sitting here saying I want that kind of love that Simone was talking about. And for me, it doesn't matter. I used to always think I have a preference, but I think I've dated everyone under the sun, with the exception of trans women. I have not yet dated trans women. And I just feel like, for me, I still haven't met, I think one time I did, but that relationship is not healthy and it's not where it needs to be. And so I can't count on that as a guarantee either. You know what I'm saying? And so this is where I'm at with this. You know, like, child, I need a cup of tea.
Thank you for sharing that. And I hope
Thank you for asking. Like, no one ever asked about me. People just expect me to have the answers, and I don't know.
Really? Oh my God.
I feel like I just explored that with you. No one ever asked about me.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, child. Yeah, we could talk about this offline, but like, I want you to get free.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I do. And essentially, that's my opinion around marriage. I just want people to ask themselves the question, like, what do you really want? What do you actually want? Who do you want to be? Like, and does this do you think this institution is going to do for you what you think it's going to do for you? Because especially as Black people, like, we have to be honest, like, even when we're engaging in these things and we're acting like heterosexuals, we don't get the same benefits. So even when we partner ourselves with men, we don't get the same benefits. So we have to radically ask ourselves, like, why am I getting married? Why am I poly? Why am I single? Why am I whatever? And I just want more of my people to just do their work, because what happens is, it's like, a lot of us use each other's bodies to defecate on each other. We use each other as we use each other in really fucked up kind of ways. And I don't know. So to me, the only happily married people I know is my mom and my daddy. Everybody else,
struggling.
You know, irrespective of the race, irrespective of class, they're struggling. And I just want, whether we are millennials or Gen X people, I want us to radically ask ourselves a question. If I believe in Black liberation, what does that look like inside of my relationships?
Right.
And if I believe in Black liberation, what formation do my relationships take? So I personally think, for my own personal self, I no longer believe in marriage in that kind of a way. I do want to be radically partnered with a person, or maybe more than one person. But more than that, what I want for myself is the freedom. I want to be seen in a very specific kind of way. I want to be loved in a very specific kind of way. And I want to be free inside of that relationship. And I just feel as if, again, all this conflict, like, we can't even be in conflict with friends and whatever, and with ourselves, and then we bring all of that into like trying to do a marriage. I just think sometimes, I don't think we know enough about ourselves to subject ourselves to each other the way we want to subject ourselves to each other.
Ooh.
I think that's what it is. I just think sometimes there's this French philosopher who writes about marriage. He said sometimes the kindest thing you can do if you really love someone is not to subject yourself to them. It's just like, don't be in a relationship with them. Right. So to me, it's just like, I've had so many failed relationships, and those relationships has failed because it's really hard to be a Black person loving another Black person in an anti-Black world. It's hard when people come with their trauma, their mom stuff, they're survivors of child sexual abuse, you name it, they're broke. Nothing wears down a relationship like money problems. And so when you have all of this stuff and you're trying to love each other, and y'all have the nerve to be queer on top of that.
You have the nerve. I think about this topic of Black love, right? And like how I see it everywhere, right? And I'm like, are we talking about a Black free love, right? You know, and I've seen a lot of people get married, and I have a lot of married friends, and I myself have been married once before, and I'm not sure if I was ever free. And if this is what I'm working towards, like, right? How do I identify it within myself in order to recognize it when it shows up in this way? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because in relationships, I think it's shown up. I'm like, there's still a blockage there. And it's because I think I loved what you said, that the relationships failed because you couldn't sit with yourself long enough. And I think my relationships failed, a lot of them, because I wanted from them what they couldn't give me because they wasn't giving it to themselves. And I could also honestly say the same about myself. Period. I wanted to give them what I wasn't even willing to give myself.
Isn't that the perpetual Black femme problem, though? Yeah. Constantly saving somebody else and constantly not putting on your mask, but you trying to figure out if they got on their mask
at the expense of oneself.
So
we're not your mules.
How do we learn to love in a way that's not predicated on martyrdom and victimhood? Right. How do we learn to love each other in a way that it creates more choices, not less choices, whatever those choices are? So to me, it's just like, I'm going to go back to this principle we don't practice our principles and our values. And once we get in these relationships, we start to enact capitalism, we start to enact possession, all of a sudden we believe in abolition out there, but I don't believe it in between you and I romantically. And then it's just all our signals get crossed and wired. And
Right.
because we're both not super clear on what we actually believe when we say I love you, what are
That's
our
another
actual expectations, who do we want to be inside of this love, and we don't, and is this love free enough to handle both of our definitions of freedom?
I think about Richard Seiken said something. He said, everyone deserves a place and it shouldn't be inside of someone else. And so often in my romantic relationships, someone else always wants me to be their place, their landing spot. Put the pearl necklace here, babe. Like, you don't understand what I'm saying? Like, and I don't think that for me, I have ever been comfortable. I think growing up parentified, I think of a million things. We be here all day. Let's stick with the show. But I think about all the ways that someone wants to collect me as their possession, for them to tell the world that this belongs to me and not really tell me why they love me, right? But to be like, no, I'm attached to DiDi. Like, you know what I'm saying? In a romantic way. We belong together in a romantic way. But if I were to ask, what is about me that you're attached to? They would tell you everything that they could find on the internet.
You see, Warsan Shire says, don't you know you're not supposed to make homes out of nobody? Right? If we don't make homes out of ourselves, and so I need you to be my home. I need you to be my thing because I don't possess myself. So I need to possess you. Right. And so, do you see, at this point, all I would say is just like, we got to reread and read Bell Hooks All About Love, because there's a difference. There's a difference between loving, being in love with someone, and cathetting with someone. So just like that superficial connection with people, but we don't really know the people that we're falling in love with. What you understand? It's just like, to go back to Love Is Blind. How can you even really say you love this person you're getting ready to marry them, and you don't even really know their interior life?
Right.
That's wild to me in the 21st century.
Like Amber and her Sephora credit card debt.
Like, stop it. So it's those kind of things. We hide from each other. We hide from ourselves, but we want to love. We want these big, grand love. Nah, fam. Love requires radical truth. And a lot of us, if we're honest, we don't have a healthy relationship with the truth. We see the truth as negative, as bad. And to me, anything that's the truth is inherently good. What I do with it is my business. What we do with it is our business. But the truth, you know what, DiDi? I'm done with you.
Oh my goodness.
I
ask all my guests one question that like most people don't ask. And this is always weird for me because I feel like I'm opening myself up. You already done brought me there, so thank you. The one question I asked all of my guests so far is, you sat here with me for 2 hours and I have appreciated it.
Oh my God, really?
It doesn't even feel like it. And that's why I enjoy the programmatic way that we built this, right? You and I did this together. It's like, there's no script. There's no like, oh, let me tell you that we're gonna just talk about your little bio and then we're gonna like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we did this together because we're building community in this way, and I just want other people to see it. So my question to you is twofold. A, is there a question that I did not ask you or a topic that you really wanted to discuss? And two, who would you like to see next on the show? Fenty lipstick.
You know who I would love to see on this show? Paris Hatcher. She's over the Black Feminist Futures.
Okay.
That was there's supposed to be a conference in Atlanta this year for Black Feminist Futures. She's a dope Black organizer from the South and all that kind of stuff, I think you should, I think Paris would be great in regards to like Black feminist futures and those kind of things. So that's number one. Yeah.
Okay.
Number two, is there, you know what? Actually, no, I feel like this is the first time I've been interviewed where I was really allowed to be a three-dimensional person. Like it wasn't just on some like scholarly type stuff.
Or a sound bite that they needed
right,
for their art. Right.
Like you asked me about pop culture, you asked me about love, you asked me about myself. So it's just like, I really got to like, I don't think I've ever publicly spoken in this way about these kinds of things. So it's just like, nah, I feel really good. I feel really good. I'm not even really sure all of what I said within these 2 hours and if I will cringe afterwards, but it don't matter. It is what it is, you know? It is what it is. And so I don't know, I guess if there's anything I would want people to say, it's just, if there is one thing I would want our people, like Black people, to know, is just like, you can never lose doing your healing work. You will never lose centering yourself. And that if you truly believe in Black liberation, then that liberation must first start in you, and you have to heal what you need to heal and confront what you need to confront, so that when it shows up in a platonic relationship, right, you know what to do with it. So that when it shows up in a romantic relationship, you know what to do with it. So that when it shows up in politics, you know what to do with it. So healthy people create healthy communities and healthy relationships. And we just all got to get honest about the fact that we have personal work to do. Let's get to the doing it so we can get free, and we get free by getting free. So that's it.
My heart is so full from this conversation. And I actually, you don't have to answer this question. I'm just going to leave it with you. It's more of a statement than a question. I would really like to build with you. My horoscope said I need to tighten up my circle because big things are coming my way. And I would really, like for you to be a part of that circle, because I just feel so full from this conversation. Like I know everybody that I'm interviewing, but I feel so full from this conversation. My heart is aching. And I'm so glad that you said yes to speaking with me today. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes, let's build. Let's do that. Let's be in principle struggle. Let's do that.
Yes. I hope that you have a great evening. This has been like one, second, third, first, I don't know, all the great episodes of the full set. And I appreciate y'all so much. Lutze, I hope that you have a great evening, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Likewise, my love. Thank you very much.
All right. Peace, y'all.
Peace.